The moment I saw her, standing in the hospital corridor, eyes filled with worry and hands clasped around our daughters, I knew her. Time had creased her face and silvered her hair, but nothing could erase the kindness in her eyes. The same eyes that once saw something in me when no one else did. The first time I ever heard about my mother was through the silence that followed her name. I was born just after midnight in a small government hospital in the heart of the city. My mother bled out before she could hold me. They said she whispered one word before she slipped away: Grace. That was the last thing she gave me: a name and a story that began with death. My father rarely spoke of her. He was a quiet man, tall, broad-shouldered, and always tired. I once asked him what she looked like, and he said, "You see her every morning when you look in the mirror." I clung to that image, imagined her brushing my hair, humming lullabies I never heard. But in truth, she was not in my life for real. Her absence was the thread that wove through everything. My father was a hardworking man who ran a modest electronics store. It wasn't much, but it was honest, and it kept food on our table. He'd take me to the shop on weekends, letting me play with empty cardboard boxes while he attended to customers. Then came the fire. An electrical fault, they said. One moment, he was stepping out for lunch. The next, smoke was rising into the sky like a black flag. The fire took everything: his goods, his savings, his dreams. Within weeks, we were out on the street, our clothes stuffed into torn suitcases. My father tried to smile through it, but I saw the shame in his eyes. He had failed, not just in business, but in protecting me from the very world he'd tried to shield me from. Unable to cope in the city, he sent me to live with his mother in a village I'd never heard of. Her name was Mama Titi. She had wrinkled skin like dried leather and the gentlest hands. She welcomed me with warm yam porridge and a promise: this place is not much, but it's home. The house was old and smelled of clay and wood smoke. Nights were cold and days dragged like time itself had forgotten us. School was 6 kilometers away. Every morning, I rose before the sun, washed in cold water, and began my trek down the dusty road. I walked past farms, streams, and sometimes wild dogs that barked at the hem of my skirt. I carried my books on my head to keep my hands free. By the time I got to school, my feet ached and my stomach was hollow. But I never missed a day because I had a dream: to become a gynecologist. I wanted to fight maternal mortality. I wanted to save the next woman who might bleed out alone on a delivery bed. I wanted to give daughters their mothers back. I met her on a Wednesday. Mrs. Alade taught biology. She was stern but kind, with a voice like melted honey and a passion for teaching that lit our eyes. She noticed I never had lunch, that my shoes were worn out, and that I never missed a class. She started giving me old textbooks and extra assignments. Sometimes, after everyone left, she'd ask me to stay behind. "You're special, Grace," she said one afternoon, her hand on my shoulder. "Don't let the world convince you otherwise." When the time came for final exams, I was crushed. The fee was far beyond what Mama Titi could afford. My father was still rebuilding from the ashes of his business. I had no one else to ask. I went to school the next day, ready to tell her I couldn't register. But before I opened my mouth, she slid an envelope across the table. Already paid, she said simply, "Go make us proud." I broke down and cried. I passed my exams with flying colors and gained admission into a medical university in the city. The day I received my admission letter, Mama Titi danced around the compound, her frail body fueled by pride. Medical school was a battlefield. My father's business had started recovering. He sent me small money now and then, but it was never enough. I scrubbed toilets in hostels, worked at roadside stalls, and tutored rich kids whose parents didn't know my name. Sometimes I studied under street lights when the power was out. Other times I went to class hungry, dizzy, but determined. I failed a few tests, but I never failed myself. After 7 grueling years, I graduated, top of my class. I wore my white coat like armor and walked out into the world, not just as a doctor, but as a promise fulfilled. 10 years later, I had built a reputation. I had opened my own clinic, clean, efficient, and known for one thing: no mother died here. One cloudy afternoon, I was walking down the corridor, checking charts, when I saw her. She was older now, her gait had slowed, and she leaned heavily on a cane. But it was her, Mrs. Halliday. Beside her stood a heavily pregnant woman, her daughter, pain written all over her face. She didn't recognize me, but I knew her instantly. I had never forgotten her face, not even once. The moment our eyes met, I stepped forward. "Ma," I said softly, tears already rising. "It's me, Grace." She squinted, then blinked. Her lips trembled. "Grace? From the village?" I nodded, barely able to speak. Before she could respond, our daughter cried out in pain. She was going into labor, a complicated one. I cleared a room for her immediately, alerting the best nurses, prepping the delivery room. She was carrying twins. Hours passed like minutes, and then 2 cries pierced the air: a boy and a girl, healthy, whole, alive. When I handed the babies to her, Mrs. Alade wept. "You saved her," she whispered. "You saved me first," I replied. That day, under the hospital's fluorescent lights, 2 women who had once stood in a dusty classroom in a forgotten village stood again, this time changed by time, pain, and love. From this story, we can highlight a few lessons. First, a single act of kindness can plant a forest of hope. Secondly, education is not just a path, it's a bridge across poverty, pain, and impossibility. Thirdly, what you do for one person can change generations. And lastly, no dream is too big when it's driven by purpose and passion. We hope that you enjoyed this story. If that is so, like and share this video. We would love to read from you. So, leave a comment in the comment section about the lessons you have learned from this video. Please subscribe to this channel too. Thank you for watching this video. Bye.